Hey, how are you? I'm Matt, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the Keurig brewing system. A lot of people have Keurig machines, myself included. My wife and I received one a few years back as a gift, and frankly at the time, we didn't really understand much more than the average person out there about coffee, how to properly make coffee, and why the Keurig machine is incapable of making a good cup of coffee. So that's what I'm here to talk a little bit to you about today. So first off, let's start off with the machine itself. Now, if you've ever played around with the settings on your Keurig machine, you know that the hottest water temperature you can get is 192 degrees, which seems pretty hot. It's almost boiling. The problem with that is the Specialty Coffee Association of America has established guidelines on what it takes to really brew a good quality cup of coffee. And the first one is water temperature, which needs to be between 195 and 205 degrees. 192 degrees is 3 degrees short. Really doesn't sound like a big difference, but every degree does make a big difference because the hotter the water gets, the more flavor compounds and different flavor compounds it extracts from those coffee grinds and impacts the flavor of the coffee. Doesn't seem like it's that important, but it really is. The second thing is time. SCAA has also established that it takes between 3 and 4 minutes of thorough extraction to really get everything out of those coffee grounds that you want in order to get as much flavor as possible and get all the good stuff out of the coffee grounds. Keurig machine doesn't take between 3 and 4 minutes. If you've ever used one, and odds are you have, you know that it shoots that water through there blasted under 30 seconds. So that is another factor that's going to tend to lead to considerable under extraction in the coffee that you're going to get. Okay, so now the machine aside, let's talk a little bit about the K-Cup. You know it, you love it, you've probably used it 1,000 times. I'm going to tell you why this also is pretty much murdering your coffee. The first one is that coffee starts to go stale. Even in the whole bean form, you've only got between 4 and 5 weeks to use it before whole bean coffee starts to go stale. That's because it's a porous thing. Coffee beans are porous, and because of that, there's a lot of opportunity for oxygen to get there, and the more a bean oxidizes, the oils, the flavor compounds, everything in there starts to evaporate, and you really start to lose the essence of that coffee bean. Now, once you grind a coffee bean, that process is exponentially speeded up because you've now expanded the surface area of the coffee bean 1,000,000-fold. So ground coffee actually starts to go stale within between 1 and 5 minutes. And as a matter of fact, if you do a little experiment at home, grind your coffee, brew half of it fresh, and then wait 15 minutes and brew the other half and taste it. It's going to taste completely different because a lot of the flavor compounds have evaporated out of the ground coffee enough to make a noticeable difference. Okay, so what do we know now? A, we know that the Keurig machine is inherently incapable of brewing a quality cup of coffee. It can brew a quick cup of coffee, but it can't brew a good cup of coffee. And B, you also know that the K-Cup is, by nature of its manufacture process, holding stale coffee. More than likely, the coffee is pretty stale by the time it even gets in the K-Cup. And if it isn't, by the time you brew it, it's really stale. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the premium that is placed on convenience and ease of use for the K-Cup. Do you know how much money you're paying for coffee in order to brew it using this method? Take the cost of the Keurig machine out of the equation, which is way too expensive. When you buy K-Cups, on average, you're paying, ready for this? $51 a pound. 51! Really? 51 bucks for coffee? Now, when you take into account the fact that you're never going to get a decent, really good cup of coffee out of a Keurig machine, and that the coffee's already stale, what sense does it make to pay that much for that coffee? I mean, at best you're going to get a mediocre cup, Sure, it's going to be fast, it's going to be hot, but it's not going to taste as good as it should. And honestly, if you're paying that much for coffee, it better be the highest grade down by Protomo, Jamaican Blue Mountain, or Kona that money can buy, because that's really the only type of coffee that demands that sort of premium. Okay, but Matt, it's so easy to use. It's so convenient. I don't really care that much about the flavor as much as I just want a quick and easy way to make a cup of coffee in the morning and be on my way. You know, it's really not that difficult, and it doesn't take that much longer to brew a good cup of coffee at home. Matter of fact, you can do it in under a minute, and for a lot less money. Really? But Matt, where can I go in order to get this magic machine that can brew a good cup of coffee in only slightly more time than it takes to use a Keurig machine and not pay through the nose in order to do it? Same place you go for everything else. Target.
All right, so let's start with just the cost of the machine itself. All fairly expensive. Again, you're paying for that premium to run the K-Cups through the Keurig machine or a Mr. Coffee machine that's equipped to run the K-Cup. Starting at about 80 bucks on the low end, working your way on up to about 100 there for that one. The Mini Plus, which is actually made by Keurig, 100 bucks, 109 for this one, 150 for this one, 180 for this one, and on the very high end, you've got the $169.99 and the $230. All the machines that you're going to be needing to buy in order to use a K-Cup for ease and quickness of use and just quick coffee. Alright, so let's look at not maybe the best option, but an acceptable option for drip coffee. Now bear in mind, if you're talking about a cup or two at a time, you actually aren't going to need a big machine at all. And you're not going to be brewing that much, so you're not going to have to pay that premium for the speed and the efficiency of a single K-Cup. So what you got here, really, this Black & Decker is all you need. It's 5 cup, 17 bucks. Done deal. That's going to make a better cup of coffee than you're going to get out of anything running a K-Cup. You can move up to a little bit more expensive one, 26 bucks. There's a really nice one for 30 bucks. Oh, here you go. How about $9? That's more than enough coffee than you're going to need. 23 bucks, so you get the idea. And they just go up from there. But even with the automatic drip coffee makers, the most expensive one you're going to find is about the same price as the least expensive of the Keurig machines. And what about the cost of coffee? That's a good question. Let's look at actually the most popular flavor that is available for the K-Cup, the Donut Shop. This one's coconut mocha. We've got a Hawaiian blend over here. Now these packs, deceptively large, they actually only hold, if you can see here, 3.35 ounce K-Cups. 3 of them in a pack, and they're going to cost you $3. So you're paying $1 per K-Cup, and you're getting 1/3 of an ounce in 1 cup. You do the math, that's a little bit more than I want to pay for coffee.
That's right. If you've ever stayed in a hotel, you've inevitably seen the little single or double cup Mr. Coffee hotel coffee maker. It's a drip coffee maker, and honestly, that's perfect. If you only want to make a cup or two of coffee in the morning, that's all you need. And you can get it and the coffee at a fraction of the cost it takes to make coffee through that thing, and your coffee's going to be a zillion times better. But Matt, where can I get really great coffee, really fresh?
Okay, so let's talk about roasting and beans and cost and all that good stuff. I'm here at Coffee Del Rey in beautiful Plano, Texas. Coffee Del Rey is a micro roaster. This is Carl. Hi, Carl.
Hi.
Carl's a roaster. Carl, tell me, when was the last time you roasted some beans?
Today.
Today. And what did you roast today?
Today I roasted Brazil, and then I also roasted Ethiopia.
Brazil and Ethiopia. Is that the Yirgacheffe?
Yes, it is the Yirgacheffe.
Fantastic. Now tell me, Carl, just out of curiosity, if somebody wanted to buy, say, a pound of coffee, on average, what would they pay here at Coffee Del Rey for a pound of coffee, fresh roasted this very day?
$15.
$15. Carl, you know how much Keurig K-Cups cost per pound for coffee?
Nope.
A lot. Thanks, Carl.
Not a problem.
So there you go. And honestly, Coffee Del Rey is just one option for you. There are a lot of places you can go online, and it's not going to take you long to find them where you can get really fresh coffee that was just roasted for not a lot of money. Definitely a lot less than $51 a pound. So there you go. I hope I've been able to shed a little bit of light for you today on the whole Keurig brewing system and helped you understand why you should stop using it immediately. Because honestly, for not a lot of money, you can make a much better cup of coffee starting tomorrow morning that is going to save you a ton of money in the long run. Now, if you have any questions about anything I've talked about today, please feel free to just send me a quick email. My address is matthew.e.drew@gmail.com. And I'm also going to provide some links at the end of this video if you want to follow up with Coffee Del Rey and see what they've got to offer you in terms of fresh roasted coffee. All right, coming up next time, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the bean itself. Different types of coffee. I'm going to talk a little bit about coarseness settings, grind sizes, why that's important based on your brewing method, and also about grinders, because a lot of people don't know. Really important, because with a little bit of knowledge, you can make an excellent cup of coffee. Thanks. Bye.